Picture yourself walking through a temple where 1,000-year-old stone faces smile down at you from towering walls, their expressions both mysterious and welcoming. The air is thick with humidity and history. Massive tree roots snake through crumbling corridors like nature's own architects. This is Cambodia, a country where ancient wonders collide with untamed wilderness in the most extraordinary ways. I'm taking you on a journey through temples lost to time, rivers that defy physics, and islands where the ocean itself glows blue at night. And wait until you see what happens when passengers ride a railway made entirely of bamboo. If you love discovering places that feel like stepping into another world, subscribe to join me on more adventures like this one. Did you know Angkor Wat isn't just the world's largest religious monument? It's actually bigger than Vatican City? And here's something that sounds like a movie set. Ta Prohm Temple was deliberately left unrestored, so massive trees could keep growing straight through its ancient walls. The Bayon Temple takes things even further with 216 giant stone faces carved into its towers, all sporting the same mysterious smile of a long-dead king. But Cambodia's weirdness doesn't stop at temples. The Tonle Sap River actually flows backward for half the year, making it one of only a few reverse rivers on Earth. And if you think that's wild, try swimming at night around Koh Rong Island, where bioluminescent plankton make the water glow bright blue every time you move. Sihanoukville got so crazy with casino development that they completely renamed the entire city to Preah Sihanouk in 2019. Now let's explore the most incredible places this ancient kingdom has to offer. Have you ever locked eyes with a face carved 800 years ago and felt it watching you back? That's Bayon Temple. Over 200 massive stone faces rise from its towers, each wearing the same enigmatic half-smile. But here's what makes it stranger. Scholars believe these faces aren't just the Buddha. They're also King Jayavarman VII himself. The ruler who built this place literally surrounded his empire with his own gaze, blurring the line between God and king. As you wander the narrow corridors, morning light catches the weathered stone, rough beneath your fingertips, softened by centuries of monsoons. Everywhere you turn, another face emerges from the rock, some serene, some almost amused. The jungle presses close, its smooth green leaves brushing against ancient gray. And those eyes, they follow you through the labyrinth, patient and knowing. The mist lifts from the water at dawn, revealing something extraordinary. A curved gray back breaks the surface, then another. These are Irrawaddy dolphins, and only around 80 survive in this entire stretch of river. 80. In a waterway that stretches over 4,000 kilometers through 6 countries. The Mekong earned its ancient name, River of the Nine Dragons, through sheer power, carving through mountains and feeding the largest freshwater fish on Earth. But here in Cambodia, it flows gentler. Fishermen in wooden boats cast nets the same way their grandfathers did, their silhouettes sharp against the orange sunrise. The air carries that unmistakable river smell, wet earth, green vegetation, life in motion. Stilt houses line the banks, their reflections wavering in the current. This river feeds millions, connects villages, shapes daily rhythms. Watch the water long enough, and you'll understand why locals call it Cambodia's heartbeat. Did you know this place was once just a quiet fishing village? 2 decades ago, barely anyone came here. Then the world rediscovered what lay hidden in the jungle nearby, and everything changed. 1,000% increase in visitors. 1,000%. The small town transformed almost overnight into Cambodia's tourism heartbeat. But here's the thing. Siem Reap hasn't lost its soul. Walk past the night markets, past the restaurants and guest houses, and you'll find monks in saffron robes collecting morning alms. The air carries incense from neighborhood pagodas. After rain, there's this earthy scent of wet soil and moss that reminds you the jungle is never far. This is your base camp for exploring the ancient world, yes. But linger a little longer. The floating villages, the silk farms, the cooking classes where grandmothers share recipes passed down through generations. Siem Reap rewards those who stay. Most temples fight the jungle. This one surrendered on purpose. Ta Prohm was deliberately left unrestored, a conscious decision to show what happens when nature wages war on stone. And nature is winning. Silk cotton trees send roots cascading down like frozen waterfalls, their gray tendrils gripping doorways, prying apart walls, swallowing entire galleries. You walk through and the air shifts. Cool, damp, carrying the smell of moss and centuries. 800 years ago, over 12,000 people lived here. Monks, students, scholars filling a Buddhist university that sprawled across 1.5 square kilometers. And now? Silence, except for leaves rustling through empty corridors. Morning mist drifts between the strangler figs, softening everything. Carvings peek through foliage. A dancing figure here, a divine face there, half claimed by green. It's hauntingly deliberate. A reminder that everything we build, given enough time, returns to the earth. From the jungle's quiet embrace, you step into something that defies everything you thought you knew about the ancient world. 1 million people lived here. In the 12th century, when London had maybe 30,000. Angkor Thom stretched across 3 square kilometers of carefully planned urban space, the largest city on Earth at the time. You enter through the south gate, where enormous stone faces gaze down with that mysterious half-smile, serene and slightly unsettling. The air carries the earthy scent of ancient stone mingled with jungle. Every surface tells a story. Bas-reliefs depicting battles, mythological scenes, everyday life frozen in sandstone. The Khmer designed this place as a model of the cosmos itself, with the temple at its heart representing Mount Meru, the center of the universe. Walk these causeways at sunrise, and you're tracing paths worn by a civilization that once outshone all of Europe. What if I told you there's a floor so heavy it took over 5,000 silver tiles to create it? Each one weighs a full kilogram. You're walking on more than 5 tons of pure silver. The Royal Palace complex sprawls across nearly 175,000 square meters of manicured grounds, but it's the silver pagoda that stops visitors mid-step. Morning light catches those legendary tiles, sending shimmers dancing across walls adorned with gold and precious gems. King Norodom commissioned this palace in 1866 when he moved the capital here, and the Khmer artistry on display, the soaring spires of the throne hall, the emerald Buddha watching from above, represents centuries of tradition still very much alive. The salty ocean breeze hits you first, then the contradiction. Cranes tower over palm trees. Half-finished high-rises cast shadows across pristine white sand. Sihanoukville has exploded from 30,000 residents to over 100,000 in just 2 decades, and it's not slowing down. This former fishing village, founded in 1964 and named for King Sihanouk himself, now hosts Cambodia's largest deep-water port and one of Southeast Asia's most dramatic transformations. Walk the coastline at sunset, and the juxtaposition strikes you. The sky blazes orange and pink over the waves. Old wooden boats bob beside modern yachts. Two worlds sharing the same shore, neither quite sure what comes next. What if an entire lake could breathe? Tonle Sap does exactly that, swelling from 2,500 square kilometers to over 16,000 during monsoon season. 6 times its dry season size, the largest freshwater lake in Southeast Asia literally inhales water for half the year, then exhales it back. And people have built their lives on this rhythm. Entire villages float here, schools, shops, even pig farms, rising and falling with waters that have sustained Cambodian civilization since the days of Angkor. Dawn breaks soft over the lake, revealing fishermen casting nets into waters so productive they feed millions. Houses on stilts stand reflected in blue-green stillness. Everything here moves with the seasons. Nothing is permanent, yet everything endures. A bamboo platform on wheels. That's it. No engine, no seats, just bamboo slats, a tiny motor, and old French colonial rails. Welcome to the world's only bamboo train. Since the 1980s, locals have been racing these contraptions through Battambang's rice paddies at speeds that feel faster than they should. When 2 trains meet, someone has to disassemble. The lighter load loses. You lift your platform off the tracks, let the other pass, reassemble, and continue. The whole system runs on improvisation and mutual agreement. As you rattle through emerald fields, the scent of fresh rice mingles with warm bamboo. Colonial buildings flash past in the distance. Once capital of the Khmer Empire, now a canvas for street artists and dreamers. Past and present, riding the same rails. Have you ever swum through stars? Wade into Koh Rong's waters after dark, and the ocean ignites around you. Every movement triggers a cascade of blue-green light, bioluminescent plankton responding to your presence, turning the sea into liquid constellation. It looks like magic. It's biology, and it's one of the most surreal experiences in Southeast Asia. By day, this 78 square kilometer island reveals a different face. White sand so fine it squeaks beneath your feet. Jungle so dense it swallows sound. Hard to believe this tropical paradise once served as a prison island during the Khmer Rouge years. Now the only thing captured here is your attention held by turquoise shallows that fade to deep blue, and nights when the shoreline glows like scattered embers. Most pepper tastes like pepper. Kampot pepper tastes like the place it grew, earthy, floral, with a heat that builds slowly and lingers. French chefs in the colonial era called it the king of spices, shipping it thousands of miles to kitchens in Paris. The vines still climb wooden posts across plantations that blanket the hills here, their sharp green leaves catching afternoon light. Below them, a river town unfolds in faded yellows and soft blues, colonial shophouses reflected in slow-moving water. Bokor Mountain rises in the distance, often wrapped in mist. Visit at sunset, and the whole scene turns golden, the air carrying that unmistakable aroma of fresh peppercorns drying in the warmth. This is Cambodia, at its most unhurried, a place where spice once built fortunes, and time now moves like the river itself. What happens when paradise gets abandoned? In the 1960s, Kep was Cambodia's most fashionable escaped French colonists, sipping cocktails in elegant villas, the country's first seaside resort glittering with glamour. Then the Khmer Rouge came. And everything stopped. Today, those same villas stand hollow, their Art Deco facades crumbling as jungle vines reclaim what war left behind. You walk past these ghost mansions to reach a very different scene, the country's largest crab market, where fishing boats bob in turquoise water and vendors grill the morning catch over charcoal. The smell hits you first. Salt air mixing with chili and garlic, smoke curling into a sunset that paints everything amber. Kep didn't die. It simply became something quieter, a place where history sleeps in the ruins while life carries on at the water's edge. Scientists are still discovering species here that exist nowhere else on Earth. The Cardamom Mountains hold Southeast Asia's largest remaining rainforest, 4,000 square kilometers of wilderness so remote that parts remain unexplored. You push through dense jungle, the air thick with moisture and that unmistakable scent of damp earth and decay. Life everywhere. Mist clings to peaks that rise dramatically above the canopy, and somewhere below, waterfalls thunder into pools no tourist has named. This place holds secrets darker than jungle shadow. It was once a Khmer Rouge stronghold, and traces of that history still hide among the trees. But nature reclaims everything here. As morning light filters through the canopy, gibbons call across valleys that have looked this way for millennia. Walk upstream through the river of 1,000 lingas, and you'll find something extraordinary carved into the riverbed itself. Hindu deities, fertility symbols, sacred lingas by the hundreds, all submerged beneath clear mountain water that's been flowing over them for more than a millennium. This is Phnom Kulen, where in the 9th century, a king named Jayavarman the stood on this very mountain and declared Cambodia's independence, the moment the Khmer Empire was born. Today, 37,000 hectares of ancient jungle guard these origins. Morning mist drifts through the canopy as pilgrims climb toward Cambodia's largest reclining Buddha, carved from sandstone centuries ago. Below, the Kulen waterfall thunders into pools of impossible blue. Every empire starts somewhere. This is where it all began. 1 million people. That's how many lived here at its peak, making Angkor the largest city on Earth before the Industrial Age. London had maybe 50,000. Paris, even fewer. Yet here in the Cambodian jungle, a metropolis thrived that wouldn't be matched for centuries. How did they sustain it? Water, an engineering marvel of canals and reservoirs so sophisticated it fed rice paddies across 400 acres. As you walk through these ruins, damp stone and moss filling your lungs, you're not exploring a temple. You're walking through what was once the beating heart of Southeast Asia's most powerful empire. The Khmer shaped art, religion, and architecture across an entire region. And it all centered here, on these weathered stones, still standing after 900 years. Have you ever seen a river change its mind? Twice a year, the Tonle Sap does exactly that, completely reversing its flow when monsoon rains push water backward from the Mekong. The result transforms everything. What starts as a modest waterway swells into Southeast Asia's largest freshwater lake, expanding to over 16,000 square kilometers. At dawn, mist lifts off the water as fishing boats emerge from floating villages, entire communities built on stilts, rising and falling with the seasons. The air carries that unmistakable blend of wet earth and fresh catch. For the Khmer Empire, this river was a lifeline. Today, it still is. Most temples were built for worship. This one housed 18,000 people. Preah Khan wasn't a monument. It was a living city. Priests, monks, royal family members, all within these 56 hectares of carved stone. Walk through the grand entrance and you're tracing paths once crowded with scholars. This was a Buddhist university, a monastery, a memorial to a king's father. Now silk cotton trees grip the walls, their roots threading through doorways like slow-moving rivers. Morning light filters through the canopy, casting shadows across faces carved 8 centuries ago. The jungle hasn't conquered Preah Khan. It's become part of it. They call it the Citadel of Women. Not because women built it. They didn't. A royal advisor commissioned these walls over 1,000 years ago, dedicating them to Shiva. The name comes from what you see when you arrive. Carvings so delicate, so impossibly fine, that locals believed only women's hands could have created them. Pink sandstone glows amber in the early light, every surface alive with Hindu mythology rendered in extraordinary detail. Run your fingers across a lintel, smooth yet intricate beyond belief. At just 1.5 hectares, Banteay Srei proves that masterpieces need not be monuments. Have you ever swum through stars? Wait until nightfall here. Wade into the warm shallows and watch the water ignite around you. Bioluminescent plankton transforms every movement into trails of blue-green light. It's like the Milky Way dissolved into the sea. By day, Koh Rong Samloem reveals different magic. Powdery sand soft as silk. Water so clear you can count fish from the shore. This is one of Cambodia's least developed islands, and that neglect has become its greatest gift. No crowds, no concrete, just jungle meeting sea and nights where you can literally swim among the stars. Every evening at dusk, something extraordinary happens here. Thousands of bats pour from the limestone caves in ribbons so dense they darken the sky a living river against the sunset that can last for hours. But descend into those same caves, and the wonder turns to silence. Human bones still line the walls. During the Khmer Rouge years, this remote hilltop became an execution site, its caves chosen precisely because no one could hear what happened inside. You climb past shrines and Buddhist temples to reach the summit, where the view stretches endlessly across rice paddies. Beauty and horror, sharing the same stone. A strangler fig doesn't just grow here, it devours. Over 8 centuries, roots have threaded through stone like fingers prying open a fist, until tree and temple became inseparable. Thom sits quiet, overshadowed by grander neighbors, but step through its eastern gate and you'll find something they can't offer. The massive tree wrapping the doorway isn't destruction, it's embrace. Morning light filters through the canopy, casting shifting shadows across Buddha carvings still sharp after all these years. The air carries damp moss and ancient stone. In the gentle rustle of leaves, you hear it. Nature doesn't conquer here. It collaborates. Imagine a temple so remote, so swallowed by jungle, that it slept forgotten for centuries while its famous sibling drew millions. Beng Mealea sprawls across a full square kilometer, yet until recently, almost no one came. You clamber over collapsed galleries, duck beneath roots thick as pythons, squeeze through doorways half claimed by 4 stay. No ropes, No railings, just you and 900 years of beautiful decay. The smell of damp stone and rotting leaves hangs heavy. This is archaeology before the restoration crews arrive. A river that flows backward. For half the year, the Tonle Sap defies physics, actually reversing its current when Mekong floodwaters push upstream. You'll find locals who've lived their whole lives by this rhythm, fishing different waters depending on which way the river runs. At sunset, the promenade transforms. Street vendors fire up their grills, Tai Chi practitioners move through golden light, and French colonial facades glow amber against the darkening sky. The smell of lemongrass and charcoal drifts across the water. What happens when you build an entire island from scratch in just a few years? You get Diamond Island, where swampland once stretched across the Bassac River. A 1.5 square kilometer entertainment hub now pulses with life. At sunset, neon lights flicker to life across the water, painting the surface in electric pinks and blues. Bridges glow against the darkening sky, connecting this audacious creation to the mainland. Cambodia's ambition, written in concrete and light. We journey north to something that defies easy categorization. Angkor Wat began as a Hindu temple dedicated to Vishnu, then gradually transformed into a Buddhist sanctuary, two faiths layered into the same sacred stones. Covering 400 acres, it remains the largest religious monument on Earth. But here's what sets it apart. This isn't a ruin frozen in time. Monks in saffron robes still chant morning prayers here. Incense still drifts through corridors carved with scenes of Hindu mythology. Arrive at dawn and watch the central tower emerge from darkness, its silhouette reflected perfectly in lotus ponds that have mirrored this same image for 9 centuries. A temple built to represent the center of the universe. Standing here, you understand why. Deep in the jungle, a pyramid rises through the canopy. 30 meters of stepped stone, swallowed by forest for centuries. King Jayavarman IV built over 180 temples here. Then the empire abandoned it all after just 10 years. Today, mist curls through doorways as morning light catches carved sandstone. The smell of damp earth and decay hangs heavy. No crowds, no barriers. Just you, the ruins, and 1,000 years of silence reclaiming what humans left behind. Cambodia revealed itself slowly, through weathered temples, floating villages, and the quiet resilience of its people. Every corner held stories that changed how I see the world. If you want to keep discovering places that matter, subscribe. Which moment from this journey stayed with you most?